Hello everyone and welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. Today I'm going to be covering everything you need to know about Baal or the Raiden Shogun. This is going to be a guide pretty much to her. We're going to go through her talents, her constellations, her artifacts, her best weapons, pretty much everything, pretty much everything you need to know about it. I won't be doing a showcase of the character at the end because one, she's not fully built. I don't really have the best artifacts on her yet, and I'll just save that video for another time. Anyways, let's get right into the video. Alright, so we're gonna go through her talents. So Baal is basically a character that can do two things. She's a really good support or a battery, and she can also be a very strong sub DPS. But if you're not familiar with her, it can be kind of confusing on what you want to be doing or what you should be doing with her. So when it comes to talents, what you want to be upgrading is going to be her burst, then her elemental skill, and you don't even have to upgrade her normals. I thought you did because for some reason I was thinking that that normal attack damage scale on this, but it doesn't. So you can keep this at level 1. It doesn't affect your burst at all. So these autos here, just don't even touch them. It's just regular normal attacks. But her Transcendence, Baleful Omen. So pretty much when you press your elemental skill,
shine down
there, and then it'll just put an orb around you or whatever, and you can just attack with anybody, and it'll do damage. If that makes sense. Basically, she is a 5-star official over. Yeah, so it says right here, when a character with this buff attacks and deals damage to opponents, the eye will unleash a coordinated attack dealing AoE electric damage at the opponent's position. Characters who gain the Eye of Stormy Judgment will have their elemental burst damage increase based on the energy cost of the elemental burst during the eye's duration. One thing the skill does, well, the skill does that, and if you have it active, whenever you swap to another character and use their burst, depending on how high energy cost their burst is, you get more of a damage bonus. So basically, Beto's burst, since it's at 80, it'll actually give you more of a damage percent. I think it's around 21% rather than Yoimiya's, which is less, so you're going to obviously get less of a bonus. But so yeah, so pretty much if you have her on this team or any teams, you always want to have this elemental skill up, and then you just start using your bursts, and all those bursts are going to feed her energy as well, which if we go into her talents, it does that as well. I think it's this one, yeah. When a nearby party member gains when a nearby party member gains elemental orbs or particles, you gain 2 resolve stacks. So if you're collecting orbs, you also gain resolve stacks every 3 seconds. And with this up, I'm trying to see if that says, where does it say that? I can't find it where it says that, but yeah, if you are using burst, she will be fed elemental particles. So that's pretty much her elemental skill. So yeah, just think of Oz or Official's Oz, that's what it is essentially, but with AoE, and it's active like all the time because it lasts for 25 seconds and the cooldown is 10. So you're gonna have it all the time. Her burst, this is where she basically, instead of being a support, becomes a DPS. As you can see that first, when you press triangle or your elemental skill, that's a huge modifier initially, and then you have your modifiers for your normals, so your normal attacks or your charge attacks. Your normals, your 5 hits, what you want to be going through is the first 3, and then charge attack. That's pretty much the most optimal for DPS, and it lasts for 7 seconds. So yeah, you got to be quick about it, So one good thing is that when she is in this state, she can't be interrupted, and the more stacks you have that you build with her, the more damage it does. So if you can get to 60 resolve stacks, then you'll be doing the most damage you could possibly do when you ult. Again, if you want to get resolve stacks, you can either give her energy or just have energy with your elemental skill up, or start using burst as well. And the higher burst that you use, the more resolve she gains. So a beta will give more resolve compared to Yoimiya, pretty much, because her burst is 80. So pretty much, as you can see, like the more she basically synergizes well with characters that have high burst costs. That's what you want to be looking for. And if you're wondering how to tell when you should be or how high your resolve is, you can actually look at this. When you pop this, you get this little circle. It'll pop up here. But if I use beta burst here, you see the circle here? That's basically how your resolve. When this fills up all the way and is shining, it means you're at max stacks. And they last for a very long time, so. Alright, now let's get into, that's pretty much everything you need to know about her talents. Oh, my bad. This one right here, each 1% above 100 energy recharge that Shogun possesses grants her 0.6 greater energy restoration and 0.4 electro damage bonus. So, pretty much you want to build her with ER. That's essentially, I mean, but mostly everyone knows that. But yeah, it'll buff her electro damage by a ton and her energy restoration as well. Okay, let's go to her constellations. Her first constellation, if I can sum it up, it's just gonna make it so she synergizes better with electro characters, and you're gonna get more resolve out of them. And that's pretty much it. You just get more resolve out of everyone, but mostly electro characters. This one, more damage. You get a 60% defense shred, and that's huge. More damage. This is an attack buff. This is more damage, and this is just when you're in her ult and you're attacking, you can lower people's cooldowns. That's what her C6 is. Personally, if you're gonna pull for constellations, then you really only you want to go for C2, I guess C4, and then C6 is okay. But to be honest, the one that's most important is gonna be C2. That's where you're gonna get most of your damage. This obviously is just talent buffs, but yeah, if you're gonna go for constellation, C2 is good, and C4 is okay. C5 is or C6 is, I guess I don't know how that's gonna be, but I think it's gonna be really good. Maybe you pretty much have bursts up all the time. For weapons, you're gonna want to be getting that new 4-star weapon, that fishing weapon called the Catch. That's her best in slot for 4-star weapons, because you can refinement 5 it for free. I'm using the Favonius lens because I don't have the Catch yet, and this is okay. But yeah, essentially you want to run either ER weapons on her or crit rate or crit damage weapons. That's pretty much it. Deathmatch isn't as good as the Catch, neither is Favonius. If you can get the Catch and you R5 it, like I said, it's the best that you can have. For 5 stars, any of those 5 stars, either the weapon if you can get the weapon that is supposed to be for her, then that's truly her best in slot 5-star. And then there's Homa, Jade Spear, and all that. But yeah, if you get a 5-star, use that instead. That's pretty much self-explanatory. For how you want to build her and her artifacts, you want to give her the 4-piece emblem of Severed Fate, because you're building her with ER, and ER buffs her burst damage and all her attack scale on burst damage. So if you can see how this goes, give her a lot of energy recharge, then pop her burst, do a lot of damage. That's it. And then she's also a huge battery and gives tons of energy to all your teammates, so you'll have bursts almost up all the time. But yeah, what you're going to be looking for is building her like a traditional DPS. Here you can see I obviously got a good flower. This is nothing, not good. This is barely even good. This is okay, and this is okay as well. I'm still working on my artifacts, so my stats aren't going to look good. But if you can get at least over 200% energy recharge, you're going to be doing well. And if you can get 60, 120, or 70, 140, that's basically the best, the most optimal that you can run her. Anything over 200% is still really good, but if you can get to over 200%, that's solid. And with her passive, you get tons of electro damage bonus because of how high your ER is. So another thing I've been seeing about her and building artifacts is that a lot of people have been saying not to be using an electro damage cup if you're running like an ER weapon or a attack percent weapon, or actually yeah, an ER weapon, because you'll have too much energy recharge, and then it'll just give you so much electro damage bonus. But to me, I think the higher numbers you have, the better. I know it'll drop off eventually. It won't be as much, but I don't think it should be that important. One thing you should know is if your weapon does have energy recharge, then you want to run attack percent, and if it has attack percent, then you want to run energy recharge. That's one thing that you have to do. Here, attack percent or electro damage. I'm not entirely sure. I guess you can do the research yourself and see in other people's videos that what you need or what you should be doing. But I think you'll be okay. Obviously, crit damage or crit rate, circle it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. This is gonna be her best in slot for an artifact set because it buffs her burst damage and everything. Alright then, we'll be going through some of her best teammates and teams that you can run. This team, the first team that I'm gonna showcase here is this right here. It's gonna be the Yoimiya team. Baal and Beto synergize pretty well when it comes to just her being able to feed her resolve. Baal's burst, if you guys haven't already seen this, does not work with Raiden when she's in her burst, which unfortunately sucks. I don't know why that's the case. I think it has something to do with the fact that she scales all on burst damage, and her attacks are considered elemental burst, and Beto's burst only activates on normal attacks and stuff. So I hope it gets fixed, but the way it's looking, it's not going to. And that sucks because they should have been working or synergizing way better than what they're doing now. Anyways, Yoimiya is also really good because if you pop her elemental skill and then you just pop your E, then you get AoE electric damage and you proc overload all the time. And if you're wondering, Raiden's always going to be proccing those overload reactions, not Yoimiya. And yeah, this team comp basically synergizes using Bennett's burst into Beto's burst and then into Yoimiya's E, and you also have Raiden's E all at the same time. So then you basically be triggering tons of overload and just doing tons of AoE electric damage and pyro damage. Well, tons of AoE electric damage and then proccing overload everywhere all the time. And then once you're done with her, Yoimiya, and her E is in cooldown, you should have her ult, and you can pop her ult, and you might have Bennett's burst, you might not, but then you can pop Yoimiya's ult and swap to Raiden, and you should have max resolve stacks or close to it. And then yeah, you pretty much do the 7 seconds DPS, and then she'll feed energy to all your teams, and then you just repeat the same rotation. You pop her E, swap to Yoimiya, pop her E, start DPSing, and then if you can, swap to Beto, build up some energy. If you can get her ult, then that's what you want to do. You want to pop her elemental skill or her elemental burst, and then swap into Yoimiya, and then use that, and then like I said, tons of damage. Another team you can use is going to be this team, if I can find it. This team is similar to an electric or taser comp, but because Raiden doesn't synergize well with Beto, then you can't actually activate her ult. I'm not sure if Xingqiu's swords can proc this while can proc Beto's ult, but this could be a really strong team if Beto's ult synergizes well with Raiden, but it doesn't. One thing you can do is you can replace Beto with Fischl, but you'll get more single target damage. Another team you can run is going to be
the campaign begins.
The national team, but instead of Xingqiu, you use Child, and instead of Sucrose or Kazuha or Venti or any of those people, you use Raiden. This team is also okay. It's not the best, but it'll work. It's just that Kazuha or Sucrose will probably give you more damage than Raiden. Instead, you could do this where you put Sucrose in, and then you use Raiden as
the campaign begins.
This, and this is basically that same team. Or instead of Sucrose, you use Xingqiu
for justice
to vaporize this way. But yeah, essentially those are her teams. You can also run Mono Electro.
I can do it.
Where you use Beto, Fischl, and
the threads of your fate lie in my hands.
You
Bennett,
want
or
me on your
instead of
team?
her, you use Kujosara.
Let's do this.
But the thing is, Pyro doesn't, or Electric doesn't really have good reactions, so that's which is unfortunate. But yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to her team comps. I hope I didn't miss anything. Oh, actually, yeah, I did. What one thing you don't want to run her with is these DPSs like Ganyu, Hu Tao, or Zhao, because when you use your burst, you're actually gonna lose damage, and you don't. I mean, you're gonna lose DPS. It's just that's what's gonna happen. So don't really run her with Zhao or Ganyu or Hu Tao because they already do so much damage, and using her burst is just gonna be a DPS loss. That's it. So unfortunately, yeah, that's what's gonna be it. Even though she is a really good battery, it's not gonna work. Just run Sucrose and Animal Battery with Xiao, and you're fine. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys enjoy the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. And if I did miss anything, I'll put it in a pinned comment. But I don't think I did. I think I've covered basically everything you need to know about her. And yeah, thanks for watching.
Have
See
you
guys.
ever kept goldfish as pets?